Hi everyone, and welcome to our first module. At the beginning of each week, I'll be posting an announcement previewing the material we'll be covering. I like to post these as videos when I can. We have a couple of assessments due this week. After reading Chapter 1 in your textbook and watching Daniel Cohen's TED Talk, you're going to be posting the 1-1 discussion and submitting a journal about your final project. Remember that every week, your initial discussion posts are due on Thursdays at midnight, and your replies to your classmates are due on Sundays at midnight. The first chapter is an introduction to critical thinking, and in it, the author of your textbook gives a summary of what we mean when we talk about critical thinking. Specifically, critical thinking is a collection of skills we use every day that are necessary for our full intellectual and personal development. Critical thinking requires learning how to think rather than simply what to think, which she notes on page 6. Related to critical thinking is logic, which is the study of the methods and principles used in distinguishing correct or good arguments from incorrect or bad arguments. It's important to understand what we mean when we discuss arguments, because we often think of arguments in terms of verbal disputes or disagreements or quarrels or fights. That's what we refer to as a colloquial understanding of the word argument. However, in philosophy, the definition of an argument is different. An argument, in its most basic form, is a group of statements, one or more of which are the premises, are claimed to provide support for or reasons to believe one of the others, which we refer to as the conclusion. First of all, an argument is a group of statements. A statement is a sentence that is either true or false. In other words, typically a declarative sentence or a sentence component that could stand as a declarative sentence. So the following sentences are statements. Chocolate truffles are loaded with calories. Political candidates always tell the complete truth. No wives ever cheat on their husbands. Note that these statements have what we call truth values, so statements can either be true or false. The statements that make up an argument are divided into one or more premises and one and only one conclusion. The premises are the statements that set forth the reasons or evidence, and the conclusion is a statement that the evidence is claimed to support or imply. In other words, the conclusion is the statement that is claimed to follow from the premises. For example, here is an argument in the philosophical sense. All film stars are celebrities. Hugh Grant is a film star. Therefore, Hugh Grant is a celebrity. So when you discuss an argument that you've heard recently in your first discussion post, you're going to have to state whether the argument was an example of critical thinking or if it was just a disagreement based on opinion. Here are two examples. One of them is an example of an argument based on critical thinking, and the other one is a disagreement based on opinion. Most of the environmental problems facing us stem, at least in part, from the sheer number of Americans. The average American produces 3/4 of a ton of garbage every year, consumes hundreds of gallons of gasoline, and uses large amounts of electricity, often from a nuclear power plant, coal burning, or a dam. The least painful way to protect the environment is to limit population growth. What you need to ask is, did the person cite facts, statistics, or other evidence to back up their claim? It looks like this person did, so I would say that this is an example of critical thinking. For the second example, people on welfare should be sterilized. They shouldn't be allowed to have kids because all people on welfare are lazy and will just raise lazy kids. Again, we need to ask, did the person cite facts, statistics, or other evidence to back up their claim? In this case, there appears to be no cited evidence to back up this person's claim. It looks like an argument based on opinion. Another important part of this chapter that I want to highlight is a list of characteristics that good critical thinkers possess. Carefully examine each one of these characteristics. By the end of this term, I hope each and every one of you meets every single one of these criteria.